Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk to you guys about fighting a great weapon with a sword and buckler, and I'm going to include some video demonstration of me actually fighting. So what do I mean by great weapon? Okay, put this down for a second. A great weapon is basically a true two-handed weapon. This is basically a very large sword. In different places they had different names. In some places they call them Zulhanders, other places they call them Greatswords. But this is a weapon that where your hands are a little further apart, and just by using that push-pull, you can generate a lot of power. And especially if you come into the blow and put your hips into it. Okay? This is something that is going to. This is something that's going to hit really hard, okay, or has the ability to hit really hard. Now, the weight of this is really not that much heavier than, let's say, one of these swords. Okay? I mean, it's roughly double. This sword over here, if I put it on a scale, okay, it weighs 2 pounds, 12 ounces, right? So that's 2 pounds, 12 ounces. And if I put this on the scale, turn it down a little bit more. So here we've got 3 pounds, 14 ounces, okay? 3 pounds, 14 ounces, approaching 4 pounds. But the real advantage of this weapon is, you got your hands further apart, so you got that push-pull. Also, you've got a little longer surface area, right? You got a little bit longer blade, which means that you're making a bigger arc. Right? By making a bigger arc, that means is the tip is traveling a little bit faster. So this has the ability to hit a lot harder, okay? And basically this has a pommel on the end over here. That basically acts as a counterweight, so the balance point is right about there, more or less where you would expect it on a sword, right? And because it's balanced, you can flip it around from one side to the other. You have the ability to turn it over because it's pivoting on that balance point. Now this sword here, on the other hand, basically I've modeled this sword on this sword over here. Like I said, this one weighs 2 pounds, 12 ounces. If I put this on the scale, same thing exactly, 2 pounds, 12 ounces. The basket over here functions as a counterweight. Okay, so basically again, that this sword over here has a pommel. So if you look on this sword over here, you've got a pommel. Basically, the pommel brings the balance to about there, okay? And again, that's what allows you to turn the sword over, okay? Because it's rotating on that balance point here. So this sword over here is going to do the same thing. It allows me, to strike the inside, I'm able to do all those things because it's rotating on that balance point. So what in this video, in this fighting video that you guys are going to see in a minute, I was specifically testing if I'm fighting with a sword and buckler against a great weapon, right? And again, that could be, it could be a poleaxe, just any large two-handed weapon. If I'm fighting against a great weapon, do I have the ability to block it? Do I have the ability to block hard hits? So now the person that I used for the demonstration purposes. Now, this wasn't choreographed. This was actual fight. Basically, I picked a person that had been fighting almost as long as I've been fighting. And the great weapon, right, the two-handed weapons are his primary form. That's what this guy primarily fights with, so he's good with it. I primarily fight with the shields, okay? The sword and buckler is more of a secondary form for me. I usually fight with the larger shield. So, in a manner of speaking, this person was better with his greatsword than I am with the sword and buckler because, again, this is not my primary form. That's my primary form. So I'm kind of bringing that into the fight, okay? He's a little bit better than me in this weapon matchup, okay? So Now, I told this person what I was looking for. I wanted to see if I could block hard hits from him. I told him basically if there's a real fight, you know, I want you to fight it like you mean it. You know, don't pull any punches, because you see me with a little dinner plate here for a shield. You know, I said I want you to bring it to me. Okay. So, and I was expecting him to throw some pretty hard shots. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play the fighting video, let you guys see that, and then we're going to talk about what actually happened in the video. Okay. So let me go to that.
It's a little different fighting with a buckler, right?
Well, yeah. That's why I want to see with the sword and buckler, am I able to block powerful shots from you?
Okay,
Cool.
not a problem. Ready when you are.
Yeah. Let him go. Good. You have me.
Oh, you got me right in the pills now.
When I hit you?
Right in the pills.
No. Oh, no nuts.
Yep.
Sorry, bro. Good. No.
I say it was tippy.
Yeah.
You got my head.
Yeah. I might have had you blocked. I mean, I might have had you trapped.
You did, but that's all right.
Yeah.
Nothing on the
The
arm.
leg was good, but we're just fighting it.
What's that?
The leg was good, we're just fighting it.
Good.
Head was light.
It was. It was caught by your shield. That was all. So you actually got a good block there.
Whoa.
Sorry, that was well.
Yeah, I'll go.
Good.
That was probably the first good one I did. Give me two more. You got it. Take a rest, though. Take a rest when you're ready. Good. When you're ready. There's no rush.
One more's good.
One more's good? Great fight, man. Thank you.
Good fight. So what are your thoughts?
My thoughts were you were very effective in shooting for the openings. I just ate a piece of this fabric. When I was able to double up with the buckler and the sword, I was able to block the shots. Like which is what I was testing for. I wanted to see if I could stop your shots at full power, full speed, and I was pretty satisfied with that.
No, that was really good.
Yeah.
Like the one, you definitely had a solid block on the butler.
Okay, well, so we saw that fighting video just now. So let's talk about what was happening. Me going into that fight, okay, my strategy was that basically I wanted to catch the first shot, to block the first shot, close in and strike, okay, because he had a longer weapon. You know, I didn't want to be at a range where, you know, where, let me get the weapon. This has more reach, so he can hit me all the way out to here, whereas I can't reach him. So I don't want to be at this distance here where he can hit me and I can't hit him. I wanted to be at this distance, fighting him here, where I could basically kind of stuff his weapon a little bit and prevent him from being able to use this as effectively. The key is how to get there. How do you get inside his range without getting hit with this thing? Basically, I wanted him to throw a shot. I wanted to block that shot and close in. And I kind of suspected that that first shot was going to be a really hard one because, you know, he was at his optimal range. So what I was doing basically is, as he threw a shot, I was kind of doubling up my defense over here. Okay, now usually when we think of fighting sword and buckler, you know, we think of using the buckler more as a hand defense, right? Now typically when I fight with a buckler, I hold it flat and I keep my hand behind the sword, right? I keep my hand behind the buckler to protect my hand, but I'm holding it flat usually because I have that cone of defense. So as I stand in front of the camera here, like right now, you can see a lot of my body. As I extend this out, you see less and less of my body because of the angles involved. So usually when I fight against another buckler, I want to hold it extended and fight around it. However, when I was fighting against the great weapon, I was more concerned with just doubling up my defense, locking the two weapons together, the buckler and the sword, and basically trying to get a more powerful block with the sword. I wanted to catch his attack somewhere between here and here. That was my option. Obviously, I didn't want to catch it up here because the sword's a lot weaker up here. Not weaker in terms of like the blade breaking, but weaker whereas if you push on this, it's gonna move it. Whereas over here, you push on this, you know, I have a lot more strength over here. So fighting with this weapon simulator, right, which is basically the inside of this is made of basically rattan, which is hardwood, and it hits pretty hard, but obviously it's not going to hit as hard as a two-handed weapon that you're swinging with both arms and stepping into. So again, with this, I'm trying to, you know, double up my defense. In some cases, trying to actually catch the block, you know, right here in this area right here, which would, you know, kind of bracing it against this basket over here, right? And against using a real sword, you know, basically I'd be using that cross guard to kind of brace the sword, you know, and kind of hook them together and try to catch it, you know, in there, okay? Or if I'm holding it out, or hold it out like this. So basically I wanted to lock these two weapons together for that initial shot. After that initial shot, then obviously I wanted to come in, stuff the weapon, and then attack with my free hand. Given that my opponent with the great weapon only has, you know, he has basically what we call a connected offense defense, right? So with this weapon over here, you know, basically you gotta block and attack in one motion, right? So you can't just attack somebody's legs, right, while leaving your head open, right? So he has to attack in such a way that this part of the sword is defending him, while let's say this part of the sword is attacking, right? Or same thing. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't matter what angle you throw it in. You know, the blade has to kind of be in front of you. You know, this part over here has to be defending you, while that part over there is attacking, right? So you have a simultaneous attack and defense. With the, you know, when I fight with the shield, with the larger shield, right? You know, I have a completely disconnected offense-defense. So this can be 100% on offense, while this is on defense. And basically, I can take leg shots, right? You know, this sword is free to go anywhere it wants because I'm not depending on this for my defense. Okay. Now, when I fight with the buckler, the buckler's a lot smaller, so I can't really depend on this for defense. So I kind of have to lock the two weapons together initially, and only when I feel that I have control of the opposing weapon on my blade, I can then basically transfer my opponent my opponent's weapon to the buckler, stuff it, and then this hand becomes free to attack wherever I want to attack. Okay, so that's basically the strategy there. And what you guys saw in the video is using this sword and this sword and this buckler, and just kind of locking them in together. I was able to block hard shots. Now, my opponent, for most of his fighting, we're starting from a guard up here, right? Which allowed him, room to make those attacks. Now, after the fight, after that first fight, I asked him, I told him, listen, I mean, you were throwing good shots, but I didn't think that they were the hardest shots that you could possibly throw. Like, I didn't see him, like, cocking back and really wailing into my sword, trying to beat it out of my way. I said, and I asked him, why didn't you cock back and just try to throw through my sword? And he told me, again, that he's the two-weapon fighter. It's not my primary form. But he told me that if he cocked back like this, in that extra time that it took him to come further back over here to take a more powerful blow, he felt that in that time, that as he's coming back, I was in on him really quick, right? So I would, so as his weapon's coming back to load up, basically, I'm coming in, gaining that distance that I need to gain in order to close in on him. So even though he had the ability to cock back and take a more powerful shot, he didn't think it was safe to do it. The thing with taking a more powerful shot, as we discussed it, as you take a more powerful shot, it's also a more committed blow. Okay, so if he's here and he's winding up and he's throwing a really powerful shot there, well, that's where the shot's going. I mean, he can only change the direction so much. I know what angle that's coming to, right? It's really hard when like if I'm throwing from here, I can throw here and change direction. But if you're over here and you're winding up, it's really harder, a lot harder to change the direction as effectively. So that's why he preferred to fight from here and not throw the hardest possible shot that he could possibly throw, because he didn't want to overcommit to his offense, right? Knowing that, because he knew what I was trying to do. He knew that I wanted to catch his weapon on his first attack and close in. So he didn't want to overcommit to a shot that was kind of obvious where it would be going, regardless whether he's throwing at this line or that line. It's a big sword. Once you initiate it with full power, it's kind of hard to change direction. So he preferred to take a more controlled, attack. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to post the second video, the second fight. Okay, you guys are I'm going to connect it to this video now. And in the second fight now, he's had a chance to see how I fight, right, with a buckler, and basically, come up with some type of strategy to defeat me. Okay, remember, that's his primary form. He was able to switch gears a little bit faster, compared to me, who only fights it, every so often. And I've really never fought sword and buckler against a great weapon. I've fought it many times against other bucklers. I have even fought against shields, but I've never fought against a great weapon. So take a look at this video. All right, same deal, full power hit, nothing cold.
Not a problem. I said, the sun's not in your eyes that way?
What's that?
Sun's not in your eyes?
Yeah, not for, yeah, I'll be fine. All right, no, I can see it. Sure. All right, ready?
Here you go. Yep.
Good. That's it. block first.
You dropped your buckler completely on that one.
Yep.
You got my leg.
Yep.
2 more. I tapped you nicely. I got completely around your buckler on that one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. You put it up. All right, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
They're on like the light side of good, but they're okay.
I think I got more out of the first one as far as feedback, as far as I was kind of sucking on this one.
Well, this time I was actually looking for your gaps.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I was being a little more patient.
Oh, okay.
Last time I was more aggressive.
Oh, cool.
So that's why.
Yeah, you fall off better this time. Yeah, I really had nothing to...
Nope, no, that's fine. Here, we can chat.
Yeah. So that time I just failed to block.
Yeah, that one was.
Yeah, I failed to...
But no, this time I took more of a defensive, reactive game,
Okay.
which is actually a little more how I fight.
Right.
Because the first time I was definitely the aggressor.
Right.
So
Yeah, and I was looking for aggression to counter.
Yep.
And that time you weren't giving it to me, so...
No. So this time I would throw a couple of the fakes.
Yeah.
You were anticipating that aggression that I had last time.
Right, right.
So you threw the block where I would have hit,
Right.
and then that's when I was able to just peek around your group, your
Yeah,
guard.
right. Well done, man. Great fight.
Thank you. Like I said, for me, it helped.
All right, so this fight was a completely different fight. After having seen how I fight, right? This fight, you know, instead of trying to throw even harder to basically smash through my smash through my sword and smash through my buckler, he was actually fighting, throwing even lighter shots. Okay, what he was preferring to do was basically, you know, he was able to focus more on a feint and then change directions or feint. So he was actually fighting, you know, a more deceptive fighting style, using less powerful blows. And whereas the first fight, you know, it kind of came out 50-50, I think. You know, while we were fighting, the second fight, he dominated. All right, because he was using feints. In my mind, I think I was still kind of fighting the first fight, so I was expecting hard, you know, just as hard blows or harder blows. I was thinking that, hey, you know, now that, you know, after that first fight, I think maybe now he's going to come out and really try and blow through my defense and try to swing really hard. But he did the exact opposite. Okay, he threw lighter shots using more feints, and because I was thinking he was going to throw hard shots, when I was expecting hard shots, so I was over committing to my defense wherever I thought that shot was coming in, and because he was throwing a lighter shot, he was able to get me to, you know, to block high and then bring his sword back around and hit me, you know, to wherever the opening was. And because I was bracing for a more powerful blow, you know, and I was really pushing my defense out there, locking my blades together, you know, he was able to switch gears faster than me and bring the blade around to, you know, from a different direction. So, you know, so using that technique, he was able to dominate the fight. So I think, you know, I think it's really interesting the way this worked out. I'm happy with the person that I chose to do this experiment with, because you know, I actually learned a lot about how a great sword fighter thinks, and how they're going to try to, you know, defeat an opponent. You know, they're not going to try and hit harder. They're going to try to fight smarter. So I really enjoyed that fight. I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. If you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hey, one important thing I forgot to mention in the video, we are calibrated for male armor. Okay, so regardless of the fact that we might have I don't know, plates in some area that the armor might look like 15th century. We're actually calibrated for, you know, 10th, 11th century armor. You know, male armor with maybe like 1.5, 2 pound Norman nasal caps. So against that type of armor, basically we're using percussive blows. Okay, the weapons which would normally be edged concentrate the force on the edge to impact through the male armor. Okay, and break bones, or or even if you get hit on the side of the head, it's going to be, it's going to rattle your head a bit. You know, if you get hit with one of these swords on the side of a 2 pound Norman nasal cap, or even just a male coif, which was very historic in the 10th and 11th century. So again, if you're not a member of the channel, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.